Okay, this is the exponent song. When you multiply, add the exponents and the base stays the same. When you divide, subtract the exponents and the base stays the same. Power to a power, multiply the power and the base stays the same. Zero exponent, the answer is 1 and the base goes away. Negative exponent, send it to the bottom. You have a fraction and the base stays the same. So let's look at these. What does all this mean? If I can get, yeah, there we go. It's okay. So let's just go in here and look at it. Let's find out what is going on with this little song and these rules. So here we go. When you multiply, add the exponents and the base stays the same. Well, let's multiply. X squared times x to the fourth. Well, when you multiply, add the exponents and the base stays the same. Well, I have an exponent of 2 and an exponent of 4, and I'm going to add those together. 2 plus 4 equals 6, and the base stays the same. Well, my base, that's a base, x. Bases are the big number. X, 2 plus 4 is 6. That is my answer. When you multiply, add the exponents, the 2 and the 4, and the base stays the same. Let's look at another one. Okay, let's look at this one. I have x squared. When you multiply, remember, parentheses next to each other indicate that we, let's do it without one. Let's do it without a parentheses. I have x squared times x. Well, what do we know about this exponent? I don't see it. Well, there's a 1 there. Okay? There's a 1 on this one. So I have x squared times x1. So I have, let's see, let's use purple. So that means I have to add the 2 plus 1. And that gives me x to the third power. When you multiply, you add the exponents. There's an exponent, and there's an exponent. 2 plus 1 is 3, and that is my answer. Okay, that's it for that. When you multiply, you add the exponents. Okay, let's go down to the next one. Yeah, I want to save it. All right, let's go down. Come on down. All right, the next one, when you divide, subtract the exponents and the base stays the same. Okay, we can do that. So let's do it. I have, I don't want a pen. There we go. All right, so I have, when you divide, subtract the exponents, the base stays the same. Okay, we're going to have a fraction, because that means fractions mean divide. So I'm going to have x to the fourth, and I'm going to have, when you divide, you subtract the exponents, and I have x to the second. I have x to the fourth over x to the second. All right, so when I divide, I subtract the exponents. Okay, so that's an exponent here and here. So that's 4 minus 2 equals 2. So my answer is, and the base stays the same. So there's my base. My base is x. All right, so I'm just going to bring my base down. and I'm going to subtract my exponents. 4 minus 2 is 2. So that means that I have x to the square. That's it. Let's look at another one. All right, so I have x to the 7th power over x to the 3rd power. So let's see what we can come up with if we do that. So we're going to go to, let's do green. All right, so I have a base, that's a base, that's a base. The base stays the same. All right, so I just know I'm going to bring my base down. Okay, then I'm going to subtract my exponents. And you always subtract top to bottom. Always subtract top to bottom. Top goes first, then the bottom goes behind it. Okay? That equals 4. 7 minus 3 equals 4, so I must put my 4 there. And I am done. That's my answer. Good, huh? All right, let's look at the third little rule. And the third rule of exponent is power to a power. You multiply the power and the base stays the same. Well, what in the world does that mean? Well, here we go. What in power to a power? I've never heard of such a thing. Okay, here we go. Get my right pen here. Okay, so I got power to a power, multiply the power, and the base stays the same. Well, that means I'm going to have x or y or z or p. Let's use a different one. We're always thinking about x, so let's use something else. Let's go with p. P for power. Okay? I have power to the second power. P to the second power. And I'm going to multiply it by a power. Power to a power. Okay, so let's multiply it by 5. So I have p squared times the 5th power. Well, power to a power, right here, that right here is power to a power. Power to a power, that's what that means. Power to a power, multiply the power, and the base stays the same. Well, I know the base stays the same, so I'm just going to put the p right here. Okay? That's a p. That's p. Okay. P, p. Okay? Yeah. P, p. Okay. 2 times 5 equals 2 times 5 equals 10. So my answer is p to the 10th power. That's it. Okay? That's all there is to it. Let's do another one. So I have c to the 3rd power. And I'm going to multiply it by 7. So I have c to the 3rd power multiplied by 7. Well, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to bring down my base. Remember, power to a power. That's what this is. 3 and a 7. So I have 3 times 7. That equals to 21. So my answer is c to the 21st power. Power to a power, multiply the power, and the base stays the same. C, 3 times 7 is 21. That's right. That is right. Okay. So let's move down to the next one. Okay, here we go. 0 exponent. The answer is 1 and the base goes away. Well, my goodness gracious. What in the world? 0 exponent. The answer is 1 and the base goes away. Well, I don't know about this one. So let's look at it. If I have x to the 0 power, the base goes away, so I'm not going to have anything for the base. And the answer is 1. So x to the 0 power equals 1. The base goes away by base. Goes away. Bye-bye. So this just goes away. And when I have an exponent touching this one, touching whatever variable or number, okay, it goes away. The answer is 1. Okay, so if I have, am I saying this? Negative 5 to the 0 power equals to 1? Yes. So if I have 10 million, that's a 1, comma, to the 0 power, the answer is 1. If I have x squared and y to the 0 power, I have, watch this, because I have x squared times y to the 0 power, and that's going to equal to x squared times 1. Exponent rules, and you might want to jot this down. Exponent rules only apply to what the exponent is touching. In this case, it's not touching the x. All we have is x squared. But this y0 right here, that 0 right there, is only touching the y. So the y becomes 1, and the x squared just stays the same. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, but this is it. So, and then it just means that that's x squared. It's your final answer. Final answer? Yeah. Okay. Let's say that one, and I think we got one more. And there it is. Negative exponent. Send it to the bottom. We have a fraction. Now, when we talk about that, we're going to make sure that you understand that the variable, whatever the variable is, x, and whatever it's touching, let's say a negative exponent, so let's do a negative 2, they stay together. You can't separate. In other words, when I send it to the bottom, if I send it to the bottom, which means that I'm going to send it downstairs this way, okay, that means this whole thing's got to go. I send it to the bottom. So we're going to come over here, and that's going to equal to, I send it to the bottom, x squared over 1, and I change the sign. And that's sort of, you can sort of remember that, when we move stuff from one side of the equation to the other, one side of the equal sign or inequality sign, we change the sign. When we move like negative x and we move it over, it becomes x. Remember that? You just move it over, and you just change the sign. That's all we're doing. So the negative becomes a positive, and we just flip it. In other words, we have this here. We have x to the negative 2 over 1, and that's what this represents. There's a 1 here. Y'all remember invisible 1, always in the denominator. And you're going to flip the denominator, numerator, and change the sign. That's all we're doing. Okay? In other words, this is going to come down. It's going to be 1 over x squared. Okay? And that's what you do. And we'll put all these different rules together so you can see that sometimes, or most of the time, there's more than one rule operating at the same time whenever you're dealing with exponents, and we'll talk about that later. And that is it. And I'm going to close it now. I'm going to stop the recording.